Let's get into it. Coach Colin News here. What I'm bringing you guys today is some poll numbers between Trump and Biden. Very interesting stuff here between 2020 and 2024. Today, now, what those numbers look like. Then I'm going to show you a couple of clips. Trump, his case is going on. It's literally tying him to that location. He can't get in and out and about on the campaign trail. He's going to talk about that a little bit. Then he's going to also talk about why he was actually indicted and how odd and ridiculous it sounds. And then I'm going to play a clip of Benny Johnson and Tucker Carlson actually speaking about Donald Trump and what Tucker Carlson thinks is going to happen to Trump. Because in Tucker Carlson's JRE episode, he actually mentioned that a politician nowadays has to be willing to die to be an effective politician. And they're likening that to the resilience and the resolve that Trump is showing through all of these indictments and all of these court cases. He just keeps fighting through all of it, all the threats, all the attempts. So let's get into that right now. Let's start with these poll numbers.
This is viewed favorably across Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. In the 2020 exit polls, what do we see? 50% of voters view Joe Biden on average favorably in those states, compared to just 45% for Donald Trump. Look at the Joe Biden trend line where he is now. Joe Biden is far less liked than he was 4 years ago. Just 43% of voters now view Joe Biden favorably in these states. And Donald Trump, despite everything that has happened, is actually slightly more liked. 47% favorable rating. So this isn't just a lesser of two evils that's going on. The fact is that Donald Trump is, in fact, better liked than he was 4 years ago and is better liked than Joe Biden is right now in these battleground states. It's pretty gosh darn clear. This is viewed
So that's very interesting to see. You know, when I first found this clip, you know, you're going through the comment section and everything, and a lot of people are really speculating about these numbers. They're like, are you telling us that Trump only has this much, and you're actually trying to tell us that Biden really has that much? So who knows? Who really knows? I mean, it does seem odd that it's so neck and neck, but also those numbers aren't just reflective of them as politicians, but also of the population, right? So there could be that many people who are still interested in seeing Biden as president, and not even that, just interested in not seeing Trump as president. And another layer, not even that, interested in seeing the other side, right? The MAGA Republicans lose it over the fact that Trump doesn't get to be president. There are some people who are that vindictive with their vote. So, you know, it goes past blue no matter who. It gets a little blue for the sake of like malice intent. It's very, very interesting. So that is what's going on right now, and I'm not surprised at all. Honestly, with the way I keep hearing a lot of black people, especially black people in the lower class, the hood, the way that they're talking about Trump, I would think this number would be a little higher. So that's just me, but who actually knows? Let's hear Donald Trump talk a little bit about what's going on with his case.
Mr. Trump, your family coming? Where's Melania, Mr. Trump? Donald, where's Melania?
Thank you very much. I just want to say before we begin, these are all Biden trials. This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning. And it's very unfair. Fortunately, the poll numbers are very good. They've been going up because people understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt, and it's a shame. And it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything, including the DA's office. It's in coordination with Washington. I just want people to understand that this is done for purposes of hurting the opponent of the worst president in the history of our country. Second of all, we have another trial going on right now. That's Letitia James. She campaigned on the fact that I will get Trump, I'm going to get Trump. And it has to do with a bond of $175 million. First of all, she doesn't want me to participate with financial companies in New York. So we have a company, I guess, based in California. It's a bonding company. and I put up 175 million in cash, but she says the bonding company's not good. She doesn't like the bonding company because she doesn't know if the collateral is good, and I put up 175 million in cash, and she's questioning the bonding company. Well, when you put up cash, and the number is 175, which is what we're supposed to be putting up, but I give it in cash, she shouldn't be complaining about the bonding company. The bonding company would be good for it because I put up the money. And I have plenty of money to put up, but nobody is going to be putting up with this. Nobody is going to be listening or coming to New York anymore. Businesses are going to be fleeing because people are treated so badly. It's got to be the most unfriendly place to do business, and that's why businesses are leaving and people are leaving as migrants come in and take over our parks and our schools and everything else. So on the Letitia James case, she's the worst attorney general in the country, by the way. On Letitia, and she keeps a lot of business out of New York, and businesses that are here are leaving, and that means jobs and a lot of revenue. Somebody's going to step in, the governor, or somebody has to step in and do something because your businesses are fleeing. But on Letitia James, the money was put up, it's 175 million, and I don't think she's complaining about me for the first time ever. She's complaining about the company, but why would she be doing that when I put up the money? So I just want you to know that that's taking place in front of an extremely crazed judge who's the most overturned judge in New York State. He was overturned 4 or 5 times on that case alone. That's, you know who it is. I don't have to mention names. I want to be nice. I want to be very nice. But a thing like that, and a thing like what's going on right here should never be happening. It's a very, very sad day in America, I can tell you that. Thank you very much.
Very interesting, man. Very interesting. You know, at first it was they're going to take his, I think it was the golf course that Letitia James wanted. I think she went and bought some golf shorts and, you know, she bought the whole attire. I think she was going to, you know, head over there with Fanny and they're going to do a couple of holes of golf, but that didn't pan out for her because he had the money. And now she's saying she doesn't like the bonding company because they're not good for it, but he has the cash. Things like that alone make everything seem, at the very least, bottom floor, ground floor, the foundation, very suspicious. Because you'd think it's just like, well, I have the money. Oh, well, I don't like the bonding company. Well, I have the money. Oh, well, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to accept that. You said you wanted the money on a certain day. By the grace of God, all of these things happen with Truth Social and this and that. And then all of a sudden, boom, he has the money. And she's just like, nah, not good enough. Not good enough. It's like, what do you actually want? That's the thing about this whole thing. As you see little things like that, you're like, is this about justice? What is this? What is this about? Like, why not just trust it? Because if it doesn't pan out, you know, she doesn't like the company. If it doesn't pan out, you get the golf course. You take whatever you were looking to take. Or he has the money, you just take the money. What's the difference? I think the difference is that just prolongs that case. That's what it seems like. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it seems like to other people as they're watching this whole thing pan out, but it seems like she wants this to take a little longer. She's just holding on for as long as possible, because as soon as he let go, he's one step closer to not being a criminal. That's the thing. One step closer to not being a criminal, a criminal, because that's what they're trying to make him look like throughout all these cases. That's exactly what's happening. So here's him again, talking outside a courthouse, and it is almost like he's tethered to this place. He can't go to his son's graduation, and I think that's a bit of I think that's very vindictive, very heartless, but also they're making it, he's not going to be able to go to the graduation, because if they say he can go to the graduation, then they have to say, well, he can go and campaign, obviously. So they have to take away everything. So it's almost like he's tethered to this courthouse, tethered to New York right now. So here's another clip of him talking about it.
That's in the books. And another thing that wasn't even said was we never even deducted it as a tax deduction. So that takes a whole of an issue. Most people want to deduct everything. We never even took it as a tax deduction. but they called a payment to a lawyer a legal expense in the books. They didn't call it construction. They didn't say you're building a building. It called a payment to a lawyer because, as you know, Colin is a lawyer, represented a lot of people over the years. Now, I'm not the only one. And wasn't very good in a lot of ways in terms of his representation. But he represented a lot of people. But he puts in an invoice or whatever, a bill, and they pay it, they call it a legal expense. I got indicted for that. What else would you call it? Actually, nobody's been able to say what you're supposed to call it. If a lawyer puts in a bill or an invoice, and you pay the bill, and in the book, it's a little line. That's a very small little line. I don't know if you could even write more than 2 words. It's not like you could tell a life story. They marked it down to a legal expense. This is what I got indicted over. Think of it. I got indicted. I'm the leading candidate. I'm beating Biden. I'm beating the Republicans now. I have the nomination. And this is what they try and take me off the trail for. That checks being paid to a lawyer. He is a lawyer, or was a lawyer. And also the things he got in trouble for were things that had nothing to do with me. He got in trouble, he went to jail. This had nothing to do with me. This had to do with the taxi cab company that he owned, which is just something he owned, and medallions and borrowing money and a lot of things, but it had nothing to do with me. He represented a lot of people over the years. But they take this payment and they call it a legal expense, and you heard it today for the first time. This is what I got indicted over. This is what took me off and takes me off the campaign trail, because I should be in Georgia now. I should be in Florida now. I should be in a lot of different places right now campaigning, and I'm sitting here. And this will go on for a long time. It's very unfair. The judge is conflicted, as you know. It's very unfair what's going on. And I should be allowed to campaign. And whoever heard of this, you got indicted for that? People in the court just said to me, I can't believe it. This is the case. So we did nothing wrong. The other thing is, if this were such a great case, why didn't the Southern District bring it? Who looked at it, turned it down? Why didn't numerous other agencies and law enforcement groups look at it? Because it was shown to everybody. And very importantly, why didn't the federal elections do anything about it? Because this is federal, it's not state. They're trying to make it a state case, whatever. And it's not state, it has nothing to do. It's never happened before, I believe. Never happened before. This is...
Man, and like he said, he should be on the campaign trail. That's exactly what I was getting to. But he can't. He's tethered to this stuff. And that's exactly what they wanted. If he's going to speak, it's going to be in front of a courthouse, and it's going to be because of a case. They're trying to build up this image of this man is a criminal. That's why I just did a video of Hillary Clinton attacking Trump, and the only thing she's grabbing towards is he was gaga over Putin and 91 felonies, all these indictments, all this. That's it. That's all they have. So if those go away, then it's he's gaga for Putin. And no one cares. They're like, what are you talking about? No, he's not. So they need the criminal aspect in order to downplay him enough. Because if you notice, anybody who opposes Trump always brings that up. That is the thing they cling to. Unless you're Bill Maher, then you're reaching all the way back to Trump University. And you're like, hey, what about this? What about that? It's like he said, this has never happened before. Right, that what he was explaining, that is the example of, I believe it was falsifying. I think he's going into that case. There's hush money, whatever, and then there's falsifying. So it's wild. It's wild that this is happening over just little things like that. And again, this is, I always talk about my biases. I always say, I want to see this guy as president. I think he's great. I think he's doing a better job. I think he's done a better job than the guy who's there now. I always say that. But if this was happening to Biden, I would still be like, what's going on here? What are they doing to this guy? Why are they doing this to this guy? If it happened to RFK, if it was going on with Obama, anybody, I'd be like, what is this? Because it doesn't change anything. When I talk about them needing this criminal avatar that they can put on Trump, that That would be the same with anybody. I'd be like, why are they trying to make this guy look like a criminal? Why are they trying to make him look like a criminal while he's running for president? I'd be like, well, that's just a little convenient. And then you find out that they could have went after these things years ago, but now they're making it the home stretch up until the election. I'd be like, oh, okay. I can see what's going on here. I don't understand how people can't see what's going on. They just think all this happened just, well, he's a criminal. I mean, yeah. So I guess right before the election when you're campaigning, and then you can't campaign, you don't do the crime. You can't do the... I don't know how these NPC type of people navigate these things in their head. It's very, very odd to me. And I'll end it, well, not end it, but before the Tucker Carlson clip, I'll just play this really quick, a few seconds.
Well, they were creditworthy, and what was more important is they had as security $175 million that I put up. But the point here is that the judge had no idea what was happening. And this is the same judge that 2 months ago made a ruling that shook the world. It shook the world because everyone knows going to that trial I did nothing wrong. And over here, I did nothing wrong also. This is a Biden witch hunt to keep me off the campaign trail. So far, it's not working because my poll numbers are higher than they've ever been because the public understands that it's a witch hunt. Thank you very much.
Now, and that's the thing we're touching on next, is the fact that they are trying to do this. It's very clear to me. I mean, this is not conspiratorial. This is not jumping the gun. I'm aware of my biases. That's why I bring them up all the time, to show you that I'm aware of them. I don't get caught in them. I'm very aware, and I can go like this and put them aside and still look at things. That's part of the reason why I do that, because I need to be aware of the biases, because I understand that it could filter my lens. It can make things look different. But put that aside. Again, if you look at all of this with any candidate, and I should do this, I should make a video where I talk about another country and say that they're doing these things and what it looks like. Because if this was in any other country, you'd be like, oh, well, other countries are corrupt. That's what you'd say. If I told you this was happening in Mexico, you'd be like, well, Mexico, right? I mean, you'd understand completely. But here, all of a sudden, people go, oh, well, I mean, what do you mean? It's like, how is he involved? I mean, what do you mean? Well, the very top office could easily have the ear of a lower office and make sure things happen. It happens all the time. All the time. They do things. They will have lower offices do things that they can't be seen doing. That's what I know, at least. But again, this goes to the fact that this is not working. His polls are still going up. He is still beating Biden in many, many different polls. So then what's next? Because if they're saying that he's unacceptable, if they're saying it's a threat to democracy, if they're saying all these things and they don't want him in office, and Robert De Niro's like, he's going to come for you, and Joe Scarborough's like, he's going to come to your house in a dark truck, and all this stuff's happening, and none of it's working, well, then what's next? Let Tucker talk about Benny Johnson with that.
So they're obviously going to see X as a platform. They're going to try and take X offline and metaphorically assassinate X. You've spoken at length in multiple situations about how you think that we are speeding towards assassination potentially for Donald Trump in his candidacy, because equally Donald Trump speaks hard truths that are uncomfortable for people, and also Donald Trump is a threat to the existing system. Do you really believe that we are on our way to a physical assassination attempt?
Well, I don't know what we're on the way to, but we're certainly on the way to something. I mean, one of, the great lie that we tell ourselves is that our lives in the world are static. They're not. They're always progressing towards something. We don't usually know what it is, but we're always on the road to somewhere. And you just sort of have to ask yourself logically, like, what's next? I mean, the amount of energy and money and time and public attention, all of which are precious commodities, the asshole community has taken to destroy Donald Trump is just astounding. I mean, it's honestly like it's like the moonshot. In fact, they've expended more resources on destroying Trump than they did on getting a man to the moon, assuming you believe that actually happened, and I think it's in question. So it didn't work. That's the point. It didn't work. I mean, when they wanted to stop Bernie Sanders, remember, they kind of seemed to threaten his wife with criminal prosecution. Do you remember that? And all of a sudden, Bernie Sanders is on board with everything, and he stops whining about the billionaires, and he's actually friends with Goldman Sachs now. And like, Deutsche Bank isn't so bad. And like, I'm all in on the war in Ukraine. And of course, we'll take refugees from Gaza. Like, they turned Bernie Sanders into a and they did that by applying pressure points, of course, which is what they always do. And they've done that to Trump at scale. We're going to put your son in jail. We're going to put your oldest son in jail. And Trump's like, yeah, you. I mean, again, whatever you think of Trump, you don't have to like Trump or even agree with him to appreciate the remarkable resilience in the face of like every power center in the world opposing him, except for like the presidents of El Salvador and Hungary. Everybody's against Trump and he's still standing. So that does raise the question, like, okay, what next? You indict him 4 times. You threaten him with life in prison. These are credible threats, by the way. His trial begins in the middle of the primary season in March, a few months from now. And the guy is still running and he still appears to be unbowed. So, you know, you're kind of reaching to the bottom of your bag of tricks and you find it empty. And it's like, we're threatening you with life imprisonment. Call it off. Drop out. You know, pick a successor and leave. Retire. We'll leave you alone. He won't. So, like, what else are they going to do? I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but, like, why wouldn't they kill him? Seriously.
So that was our opportunity to speak to both Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones about this critical issue. By the way, this isn't a rare circumstance. I was able to search for the people who've been arrested threatening Donald Trump, and there are hundreds of articles of people getting arrested for threatening Donald Trump, threatening his children, threatening his family. As a reminder, Don Jr. is somebody who's had white powder mailed to him and his kids. Barron Trump, there's a Chicago teacher. There are so many examples of this. This is so breathtakingly evil. This is the plan, and this is why these people must be defeated. It's
very, very wild. But what do you think about what Tucker just said? This TV star of The Apprentice, this loud person who sends mean tweets, just has this undying resolve where he's running. Again, very true. You're dealing with all these cases. Why not just stop? They're like, your son's going to go to jail. Why not just stop? He just keeps on saying, yeah, you know what? We'll just keep going. Yeah, fine. I can't leave this place. I got to be around this courthouse. I got to be in New York. Fine. I should be in Georgia. I should be here. Whatever. I'm still going to run. I don't care. I'm going to keep going. For many people who don't like Trump, they have this thing. Hillary Clinton even said it. Great source of information there. Truthful. Very truthful. She talks about how he's in it for himself. And you have to really dissect what's going on and look at it and be like, this guy doesn't quite seem like he's in it for himself. Because if he was in it for himself, he'd be in it for himself and his family and money, right? Because that's what it means when someone's like, oh, they're just in it for themselves. You know, money, power, this, that. You're a billionaire in America. A billionaire in America. You have enough power. You actually have a little bit of power over the government in certain aspects when it comes to donating and who's going to do what and approve this. And you have this whole company. There's thousands of people who have to listen to you. You have enough power. So I don't really think that argument's proper. And then to say that he's in it for the money, well, he keeps losing money. He's trying to pay $175,000 and they're like, nah, we want your assets and stuff. This doesn't seem like a guy who's in it for himself. To me, it seems like a guy who has been in this elite position for so long that he understands what's going on. I think in 2016, he understood what was happening, or when he first ran for president, I think he understood what was happening. And he was like, oh, I actually have to stop this. I don't think he was like, I don't like that Hillary, I'm just going to run for president. None of these actions seem like someone out for themselves. It seems like he knows about something that was taking place or about to take place. And right now, throughout this administration, we're seeing a lot of things take place. Maybe he prolonged what we're seeing now. Maybe it would have been further along if he never stepped into the picture. It seems like he's doing this for the people. It really does. Because they're coming down hard on him. And if he was just in it for himself, he could just look at the checks and balances and go, oh, this is no longer beneficial for myself. I'm done. I'll leave. I'll go build an empire in South America. I'll go build an empire in Europe. I'm a billionaire. I'll just move around. I'll just ramp up all my production of everything. But he doesn't do that. Instead, he loses money trying to run for president. Instead, he takes these slings and arrows constantly as he tries to do things that are for the American people. He gets called racist and xenophobic as he tries to secure borders and this and that. This doesn't seem like a guy who's out for himself. But again, I have a bias, but I'm just saying, when you look at it objectively, this isn't the best thing to do. Think about it. If you were out for yourself and this was your endeavor and you were going through everything he was going through, wouldn't you be like, oh, I'm going to find another thing. If I'm just out for myself, I'm just going to find another thing to do. I don't know. Anyways, guys, just wanted to show you all of that. Like, subscribe, share, and let me know what you think about what Tucker said. Is it possible? I'm out.